Hello indie game fan, Madden releases this week, so games are back in season, with September looking absolutely stacked, beginning with Isonzo, the latest World War I first-person shooter from developer M2H and Blackmail Games, following on from Verdun and Tannenberg, taking the fight to the Italian front. It looks amazing, and I love how this relatively small team managed to carve out their own niche. We also have a number of interesting sequels, with Lovecraft's Untold Stories 2 being one such example, an action roguelite that is the sequel to a game from 2019. These, of course, tap upon the eldritch horror that Lovecraft is famous for, so expect all sorts of tentacled horrors as well as madness being a factor to contend with. There are 6 playable characters in the Detective, the Witch, the Professor, the Medium, the Veteran, and the Alienist, half of which are returning characters from the first game, but the developers have changed up the art style, giving it more of a comic book look. The original is pretty underrated, so the sequel is certainly on my radar. I love puzzle games, which is why Railbound got my attention, one where you're fixing railways to get the carriages to the train. Of course, this means the return of Train Dad, but regardless of the theme, I'm a fan of developer Afterburn, who have made other great puzzle games. So of course, I'm going to showcase their next game. It is a good month to be a fan of games like Zelda, since Airoheart finally makes it to release, a game that sure looks like Link to the Past, where I remember covering the Kickstarter campaign of this way back when. From the art and action, it looks very much like its inspiration, but might have a little bit of a darker vibe since it has a story filled with betrayal, tragedy, and redemption. Our hero is on a quest to stop his own brother from unleashing an ancient evil and destroying the world, but the combination of art and action makes this of interest to me. The release of Gloomwood was delayed a couple of months, so I think that the early access release next month is a pretty safe bet, where this is a first-person immersive sim with stealth and survival horror elements that sure looks like Thief. The Victorian-styled city looks great, with equally impressive enemy designs, we are wielding a whole bunch of interesting atypical weapons as well. This is being published by New Blood Interactive, who are the best in the game at the boomer shooter, so I have full confidence that this will be great. For something a lot more cozy, Potion Permit is a pixel art live sim title that has you playing as the newly appointed chemist, effectively acting as the physician or doctor for the town, having to diagnose symptoms, gather ingredients, brew potions, and cure sicknesses. There is an action element where you fight monsters in the wild, but otherwise seems rather wholesome, as you are also restoring the town, needless to say. I love the pixel art here, and it comes to us from an Indonesian developer, so Southeast Asia represent. Back to more action with Metal Hellsinger, a heavy metal first-person shooter that has you firing and reloading on the beat, looking metal AF and is very good indeed. This is the latest entry in a growing subgenre with games like BPM Bullets Per Minute, where you have to shoot, reload and move on the beat. You play as a creature known as the Unknown, part human, part demon, and all vengeance, delving into hell to destroy the demonic hordes. It seems like the developers love their metal, and it shows when they went to the effort to enlist the vocals of some of the biggest artists in the genre, looking like quite the high quality production. Speaking of sequels, the long-in-development Freedom Planet 2 might finally make it to release as well, after first being announced in 2015, so fans of this game have been waiting 7 long years. At the time, the original was probably the best 2D Sonic game in all but name for a long time, so naturally, fans really enjoyed it, where this sequel is expanding upon that. The art style has changed, with the characters having more realistic proportions rather than the more chibi look of the original game, but this adds 1 more playable character in addition to the original 3. This is another save the world kind of plot after a powerful water dragon escapes from captivity, so Hurons must do what they can to help, with fantastic looking action that makes this a cannot miss. We also have the release of a game that I'm very excited about in No Place for Bravery, a bloody top-down action-adventure game that has you playing as a grizzled warrior, fighting his way across the world in order to make his family whole again. I'm a big fan of the pixel art, and the almost Souls-like combat looks neat, but what intrigues me the most is the world in which this is set. There appears to be skeletons of legit giants strewn about, where the violence and brutality of this world could be the backdrop for interesting storytelling. Press cycles are getting shorter and shorter, where I just found out about Moon Scars a couple of months ago, and here we already are with the release. This is a grimdark 2D Souls-like title that, while very limited in colour, looks absolutely stunning with amazing high frame rate animation, so I hope the gameplay holds up, where if it does, we'll join the ranks of the best grimdark games.